Hello and welcome back to RamsTalkPodcast, and we're here today on deadline day. This definitely won't go out on deadline day because that's way too many episodes in so little time. But we're here on deadline day to celebrate the signing of Marcus Olsen. Now, I say celebrate because Derby have really struggled on their left-hand side so far this season. We've ended up sort of forcing Mendes Lang out there quite a lot, but we've signed a player that naturally plays on the left, which is great. Marcus Harness came through Burton's academy, got back-to-back promotions with Ipswich, and now he's on loan at Derby. And to sort of tell us all about him is a guy you can't stay away from this podcast. We've got Rich, the Suffolk Crunch. How are you, Rich? How you doing, pal?
We're burning the midnight oil jet, and you tell me that you've played against Marcus Harness.
Long time ago, mate. We're literally children.
This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. Anyway, it's good to be back. It was Caden Jackson last time. I did say never play him on his own up front, which I hope that Paul Warner's heeded my advice.
We did it once and then never did it again.
Well, I did say he can play in a two, but not on his own. But yeah, back to talk about Marcus Harness, one of our double promotion winners.
Absolutely, and it's worth saying we're recording this very close to midnight, so if either of us mess up whatsoever, you can see why. It's been a long deadline day for both of us, I think. But I mean, Rich, I've got to ask you to kick us off. Marcus Harness, obviously, I remember him coming through the academy at Burton, very raw. I don't think he was necessarily rapid, but he played out wide. He seemed pretty creative. He seemed to create some chances. I think there was some surprise that he's sort of gone on to have the career that he's had. But what sort of player is he? How sort of has he performed over his time at Ipswich?
I think you've probably hit the nail on the head there. He hasn't got a lot of pace. Now, this is probably why now we've only played 2 games in the Premier League, but I know we've played Liverpool and Man City, and it's going to get maybe a little bit easier tomorrow against Fulham. But the pace in the Premier League is something I've really sort of noticed in them 2 games, in transition. Now, Marcus Harness is a very, very good footballer, but he's not blessed with a lot of pace. And I think we signed him about 750 grand from Pompey. It's quite interesting because he was literally unveiled about 11 o'clock on a Friday night. So it's sort of apt that he's gone really late on a Friday night to Derby. Look, I think he's a good solid signing for you. I said before we started, I think personally, this is no slight on him, I think he's probably a top-end League One player, maybe bottom half Championship player. I don't think... Look, he's played 2 games for us in the Premier League. He's come on in both games against Liverpool and against City, so he's now got that on his CV. But with the amount of signings, we've made 12 signings, he was sort of going to get pushed out and he wouldn't get no football. So I'm really glad that he's got a good club to go to, and obviously, like you say, you need someone on that left-hand side. He's a very skillful player. He can get the ball to his feet. He can beat a man. But like I say, the only thing I think that holds him back is he's not got a turn of pace about him. But I think he'll be a decent signing for you. Like you say, you need someone on that left-hand side. He'll bring some goals. He scored 10 goals for us. He suffered, really. When he came in, he had a good start to his career. I remember he scored the winner away at Burton. Great finish from the edge of the box. And then he got an injury and he came back in January. I think he probably might have come back possibly a little bit too early. It was a knee injury. He got injured it was against Pompey in the old, I think it was Papa John's. What is it called now?
Bristol Street Motors.
Yeah, that's the one. He got injured in that game. Pretty innocuous challenge, I think. And then he was out for a while. Then we signed Nathan Broadhead and he really struggled then to get his place back. And since then, he's been he played a few games in the Championship, but mainly as a sub. And yeah, look, he's done probably the job that he was brought in for at Town. We've released Freddie Ladapo tonight, another one who's done the jobs. It's really harsh now when I look at our team, and there's not going to be many left from them 2 promotions. They've done the job, these players, but it is the harsh reality of football, Jake. That players get moved on, but he's found a good club, and that is what when Kieran said when he done his press conference. They were having talks with certain players that they'd be leaving, but they want them to find good clubs. And I think Derby's a really good club. Like I said, when you sign Caden Jackson, you get 30-odd thousand every week. Great support. away from home. So look, I just wish him all the best and hope he has a successful loan period for you. And then, I don't know, you could sign him possibly at the end of that loan deal.
Well, we'll certainly see. It's a bit of a strange one because it was pretty well publicised that Derby were after Al Hamadi. Is that how you say his name? Yeah, that's got to be right.
Yeah.
Derby were very much after him. Obviously, that hinge on the Broya deal, which I don't think went through in the end, did it? Did you manage to get that over the line? No.
No. Well,
So
that's literally the last 2 or 3 weeks. It was on and off, and it was then we had to. It was a loan with, I think, if we'd stay up, it was going to be 30 million, and then I think they found there was an issue with his Achilles. Then it was back on today. Then it was off tonight. And I think if we'd have probably signed the number 9, whoever it might have been, Ali Al Hamadi probably would have gone out on loan because we did need to sign that line because he was playing at AFC Wimbledon last season in League Two. So it's a real big step up for him. He's going to stay at the football club now until January. He might go out then, but I think he would have been. He really probably needs a championship loan, and I think he would have been a good signing for you. I really rate him. Will he get the football in the Premier League? He'll probably get minutes here and there off the bench, but yeah, it's just we didn't sign anyone in the end on deadline day. We're happy with 12. We signed 12, so we'll have to do with that.
Yeah, I was going to say 12's not bad, is it? 12's not bad. But yeah, he was sort of the main man Derby were after, and it kind of felt like if Derby couldn't get a striker, then they'd bring in Marcus Harness, which I think is kind of what happened in the end. But again, you know, like you said, Harness has had success with you. He's been with you for 2 promotions in a row, back-to-back promotions. I mean, his goal record looks pretty good. His goal to start record looks even better. I mean, what was it last season? 7 starts, 4 goals. It's not a bad return for a player that, you know, you were saying wasn't really in and around the team for the majority of the season. But let's talk about him as a player, because we've mentioned that he's not got a lot of pace, but at the same time, he does have some redeeming attributes. You know, like you said, he's got a good shot on him. He's got a decent turn of pace when he picks up the ball in those tight areas. He's decent on the ball. Sort of, what can he bring to this Derby team?
So I suppose you say he'll majority play on the left for you, won't he?
Probably,
because he can play in the 10. He can play on the right. But I think nowadays these coaches, don't they? They like to play like a right footer on the left. So if that's where you play him, he is good on the ball. He's a very technical player. I think he's a typical McKenna player. There was a game, Birmingham away last season. We were 2-0 down with 10 minutes to go. He came on a sub. He scored 2 great goals. One on a turn. Got lovely eyes, by the way. You'll notice that when you see him. But yeah, he has got great eyes. But yeah, he's a technical player. He can pass. He's got a good eye for a pass. He'll probably get you a few assists. Look, if you look at his goal record when he was at Burton, he was at Pompey. He's got a decent goal record, and you'll probably need that. You'll need some goals from all over your team. So hopefully he can add that. But he looks like as well that he's bulked up a bit in the summer. He's been in the gym, and he's strong. He's a strong player. He's not the biggest. He's not that great in the air. You probably will see that he gives away a lot of silly fouls. That is one of the things that is quite frustrating. He'll lose the ball and he'll just sort of foul and he'll take a yellow card. But I think he's a good signing for you. Get some game time, and hopefully he'll have like I said before, hopefully have a successful loan season. He can get you some goals. He can get you some assists. He can link up obviously with Caden. Obviously, he'll obviously know somebody going there. I'm not sure who else, if there's any players who played for Pompey who you've got in your squad, but they soon sort of they fit in. He obviously came from, I think Coventry is where he originally came from, so he comes from up that way. So yeah, just wish him all the best. It's just a shame, isn't it? When, like I said before, it is as a fan, I am a little bit sad because this team, it's now broken up. It has, when you think of the brilliant job that McKenna's done over the 2 years, and we've had like the majority have played for 2 years, but yeah, players come and go, don't they? That is football, Jake.
They do. They definitely do. I mean, one of the things I've seen on social media about Harness is work rate. Now, this is a big thing at Derby. We've seen the first few games of the season. We have to work really hard defensively. We keep our shape really well, and players have to fight for the ball. Is he one of those that's going to run himself into the ground?
Yeah, I think when he came in, I thought, yeah, I'm not sure about that. But that is one of the things under McKenna that we had to do. Obviously, League Two, League Two. Blimey, we didn't go down that low. League One. We had some better players than a lot of teams. So yeah, but when we got to the Championship, I mean, the season we had last season, it was unbelievable. Yeah, but working hard, I think that is one of the main things. It's non-negotiable for me when you're in a football team. If you don't work hard, you're not going to play. And under McKenna, everyone works hard. And Marcus, he'll get stuck in. He don't mind putting his foot in. And that's probably one thing. Like I said, when he came, I'm thinking, you're a little bit lightweight, but yeah, he works his socks off. He does. It's just a shame he had that injury because you don't know what would have happened. Would we have signed the Broadhead? Probably not, because he was playing quite well, Harness, on that left-hand side. But that's another thing, isn't it? Football, you get injuries, someone comes in and takes your place. And yeah, but he can say whatever happens, he's made his way. He's played in the Premier League, played for Town, played a couple of appearances in the Premier League, and he'll always be remembered fondly, like they all will, this squad. And it'll always be good to keep an eye on them wherever they go and see what they do.
Yeah, well, hopefully it'll be staying in the Championship this season, because that'd be a massive, massive thing for Derby. And I guess Marcus Harness, you mentioned he scored that brace against Birmingham. Is that his finest moment in a Town shirt?
Yeah, like I said, the goal against Burton, really good finish. But that game, there was like certain players last season like didn't do a lot. Like Ladapo scored 2 against Cardiff, won us the game. We were 2-0 down. That game at Birmingham, we didn't play very well at all. 2-0 down. I remember it was an absolutely filthy day. It was lashing down. He came on, scored 1. The second goal was a great goal. It's sort of a swivel over a volley on the turn, right in front of the travelling fans. Yeah, so that was a really important point to gain. He scored, I think, against Hull. Night game, he got an assist and a goal, but he couldn't get his place back in that team. You know, Broadhead was playing mostly on that left-hand side. He was injured a little bit and Marcus had come back in. But when Broadhead was fit, he'd go straight back on the bench. It wouldn't really matter how well he played because Broadhead was that upgrade on him. But he was important. He was an important member of that squad. So, yeah, I think that was probably his best moment at Town, the brace at Birmingham that got us out of jail and got us something that day.
And what's he like as a guy? You know, you mentioned he was constantly in and out of the team, which must be hard to get that consistency on the pitch when you're in that sort of situation. How did he take it? Was he was he one of those that kicked off? Was he fuming that he wasn't getting on the pitch, or was he one that when he did get on the pitch, he just gave everything to make the most of the chances that he had?
Yeah. Well, I think under McKenna, it was like, we'd be a 60-30 team last year. You'd have your starters up to about 60, 65. And then you'd have like your finishers. And Marcus was probably one of them where he'd come on and they all knew their role. So I don't think there was any no one really knows what goes on behind the scenes, but I don't think there was any real bad eggs. I'll tell you a little story about him when we got promoted last May. I'm not sure what happened on the Saturday night when he was out, because when they turned up and done the bus tour on Monday, he had a big shiner, apparently. I think he might have got kicked out of a nightclub. I think he does. I think it's jiu-jitsu or something like that. He does do that. So he can look after himself. Don't worry about that. But, yeah, I don't think there was any bad eggs. They all knew that they had a role to play. They all knew that they'd get game time, whether you're starting, whether you're off the bench. And that was his role. Majority of last season, like you said, I think it was 7 starts. So the majority of his appearances last season, they came off the bench, like either closing the game out to win, or there's some games when like I say, the Birmingham game, when we've come back from behind and he's played his role there. But yeah, look, he's a good player. Not good enough for where we are now, but he'll do you a good turn, I think, in the Championship. You've got him on loan. He's got that experience. You know, he's had that back-to-back promotions, which I probably think helps you. A little bit of experience. He was a good player for Pompey. And, yeah, we'll just see how he goes. I'll be keeping a little watchful eye over him, like I did Caden Jackson the other week when I see him running about 70 yards from... What was that Borough playing in? They've literally left no one in their half. But, yeah, look, he's a good guy, Harness. He's done well for us. He's, like I say, he's done his job, 750 grand. He's repaid that, really. Realistically, I'm not sure he's in the last year of his contract. So you might be able, if he shines for you and has a decent loan spell, you'll probably be able to pick him up on a free, I'd have thought.
Yeah, you're probably right, to be honest. That's probably what we've got one eye on with the deal. Can he make an impact? Can he come in? And sort of on what you were saying, he came off the bench a lot last season, and in some games he did make those impacts, and that's something Derby has struggled with. We don't have that depth off the bench. You know, when it's late in a game, we don't really have players we can bring on that will come on and make that difference. So hopefully Marcus Harness can be one of those players that we can bring on. You know, if he's not necessarily playing every week, he can come on and make that difference when we need it, because there's games this season. For example, we played Watford last weekend, and we just had nothing to bring on. And when Watford went 2-1 up, there was just nowhere for us to go. We just didn't have anyone to bring on to make that change and make that impact. So yeah, hopefully Harness can be one of them. And one final question for you, Rich, before we can both go to bed, is what can we expect from him at Derby, and do you think he's going to succeed?
Yeah, I think he'll succeed for you. I think, like, touching on that now with your subs, with your 5 subs, it's really important, I think, now that you have to have that depth, don't you? Because, like, when we got into the Championship, we were lucky because we signed a few players there in League One, like your Broadhead, your George Hurst, them players who could make that step up. And then we added to that group as well in the summer window, and then obviously in January, there's players like, Lewis Travis playing for Blackburn. He didn't do a great deal, but he was a player on the bench who you could bring on for 15, 20 minutes. You knew what you're getting. He got that experience. And they said, I was talking to a Blackburn fan the other week, and they were saying, like, the experience he had under McKenna, he hardly played, but he's gone back and he's spraying passes about. So yeah, you need that depth now in your squad. You'll like you say, you'll find out now when you're into the last 15, 20 minutes of a game and you're looking at your bench, you'll need some players to come on if you're winning to help you over the line, or if you're losing to help you get back into the game. So yeah, that's important. Yeah, I think Harness, I think he'll succeed at Derby. I think he'll give you some goals. He'll give you some assists. Like I say, he's good on the ball. He's quite technical. He works hard. So I think it's a positive signing for you. I know, like you said, you've only spent, 3 million this summer. And sometimes, look, you know, your football club used to be spending a lot of money, and it's soon turned around with us, because we were like scrimping about and we'd sign loan players and free transfers, and it's a little bit frustrating, but you just got to stick with it. You know, football changes so quickly. We've just spent 100 million in the window, when 4.5 million, Jake, was our record transfer, which was stood for like 23 years. So it's how it changes around. But yeah, Harness, good signing. I don't think he'll rip up the Championship, but he's a solid squad player. Either that be starting on the left-hand side. He could play in a 10 if you need him, if you get some injuries there. But yeah, I really hope that he succeeds, because he played a massive part in, well, probably not as much as he wanted to, but he's part of them 2 promotions that we've had, and we'll always look fondly on these players who've helped us to get where we are. We might meet again next season, because we might come back down. You never know. Hopefully not. I like coming on here. I like
us going up.
But not
us
that
going
much,
up,
not
mate.
that But yeah,
No,
cheers for having us on. I've really appreciated it. I know it's late. It's 11:30 on a Friday night. We're not normally doing these sort of things, are we? Normally tucked up in bed looking forward to. Who you got tomorrow?
Who have we got tomorrow? We've got Bristol City, so that'll be lots of fun at home. Yeah, so we'll
game you can win.
We'll see. So, Rich, if people want to find more from you, where can they find it?
Head over to YouTube, search the Suffolk Crunch. On the way to 2,000 subscribers. It don't matter who you support. Just click that button.
Good man, I love it. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like, please do subscribe, give us a rating on Spotify, Apple Pods, etc. You know what to do by now. So yeah, thank you very much for listening. And Rich, thank you so much for coming on at this lovely hour of the day. And now we can both go to bed.
Good luck for the rest of the season.